go.
Brian Howell, remember Brian during a lot of the discussion and what was going on, not only with just Deions signing as the head coach with the Buffaloes, but also the possibility of realignment, which CU will be a part of the Big 12 next year. Brian, thanks for your time. So how would you rank the weekend that Colorado had when it comes to the transfer portal and even the number one ranked offensive tackle at offense joining the team?
Yeah, it's been a good few days for the Bucs. They obviously did not have a very good offensive line this last year. And, after one game, Deion Sanders said he was going to go get a new offensive lineman. Well, he did that this last week and picked up 4 FBS starters in the transfer portal, plus, a couple of days before that, the number one tackle in the country. So, that's 5 new offensive linemen, and he's remaking that line in a very quick manner.
It was, a tumultuous end of the season where, Sean Lewis has gone to San Diego State. He hasn't named all the assistants yet, but how would you grade on how after this first, really nice push in the recruiting cycle, the first 2 weeks of the offseason has gone for them?
I think it's been overall good. I mean, the biggest thing they need is to upgrade the roster, and they've done that, at least on the offensive line. They actually, got a tight end from Cincinnati that caught 23 passes, 5 touchdowns this last year, and they need a tight end. So I feel like they've upgraded the roster and coaching staff. A lot of times we don't know how good those coaches are until you actually see the guys play, and you say, "Oh yeah, he's a really good coach." Well, it's because he has really good players. So we'll see, with the coaching staff, and he hasn't told us exactly, what they're doing at the offensive coordinator position. He keeps saying it's most likely it'll be Pat Shermer, but he hasn't said that for sure. So we'll see with that. But I think overall it's been a good offseason so far.
Brian, what was the actual season like? I mean, with all the hype and all the success there at the beginning, what was that like from your standpoint to cover just the roller coaster nature, and especially that second half where, there was not a lot of positives to glean from what was going on, especially compared to that first half. Just how would you describe that roller coaster of this debut season for Coach Prime?
Yeah, certainly, came out, September was absolutely insane, and all the hype that was around this program. And, we just kind of knew that, man, if this team keeps winning, this is going to get really crazy around here. Well, then they started losing, and I kind of tempered things a little bit. And I think ultimately they settled into the type of season that you would expect out of the program if it was any other head coach than Deion Sanders. What he did was improve the team, and they were a much better team in 2023 than 2022, and that's what you hire the head coach for. But because it's Deion Sanders, because of the hype that they created, they created themselves in a lot of ways, then it looks like a disappointment. But I think this program is actually on a good track under Deion Sanders right now.
Brian Howell, again, the Boulder Daily Camera with us on 365 Sports.
How have you seen the conference move affect how they're approaching their talent acquisition?
I don't think it changes it that much. I think that he's always said that he wants to recruit nationally, and that won't change. And so, they're getting guys from all over the place. And, he's always going to recruit, Florida and Georgia and Texas and things like that. So I think that was going to happen whether they were in the Pac-12 or Big 12. So I don't think that part of it's changed so much, but I do know that they're excited about going to the Big 12.
Brian, how would you describe Shedeur's season, and also what is like the hubbub about his future and how that looks and what they're trying to build around him? Obviously, he's got to feel pretty good about the news when it comes to these offensive line pickups.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he's arguably the best quarterback CU's ever had, and had a phenomenal season despite how much pressure he was under. And some of those sacks were on him. He holds the ball a little bit too long sometimes, but I mean, he's the most sacked quarterback in college football, and that's not all on him. And frankly, it's a miracle that he got through 10.5 games. He missed the last, game and a half with an injury. He finally got knocked out, but to get as far as he did was kind of amazing with the beating he took. But he set records despite all that, and he'll be back. And that's a big reason why they're going after offensive linemen so much, is they want to protect Shedeur, because they believe, and I believe this too, that if he's got protection, he's going to be really tough to stop, and he's going to be an elite talent, elite caliber quarterback next year with good protection.
So what else do they need? What else do they need? They need offensive linemen. They seem to have at least checked that box, or 5 of them, and maybe more. They need defensive people, too, on the front line. What else do they have to come up with when they sign this class in about a week or so?
Yeah, I mean, really the main focus has got to be defense at this point. And, you'd like to see another tight end or two, maybe a quarterback. I do know, Deions Sanders has said they want to get an experienced quarterback to back up Shedeur Sanders, and that's difficult, but they want to get somebody in the portal that can be that capable backup, or at least a second or third string type of guy. And they secondary. He's always looking at secondary. You can never have enough DBs. And even though they got Travis Hunter and Cormani McClain at corner, Shiloh Sanders at safety, they're loaded back there, but they want more of those guys. But the priority's got to be defensive linemen and edge rushers, linebackers, things like that.
Have you seen him adjust his expectations for what they can be and how quickly based on how this season went? Or do you think Deion Sanders knew that this was probably how things were going to go?
He has told us that he knew this was going to happen, and he actually said, if you ask our athletic director, I laid out a plan. I said, this is what's going to happen, and we knew we were weak in these spots. And I believe him in that, you go back and listen to what he was saying about the offensive line. He expressed concern about the offensive line long before the season even began. And so he knew that they were a little weaker there. And, I think that it may have surprised him a little bit how difficult it was, the transition. I think that he absolutely thought they were going to win more football games than they did. And so I think that's a surprise. But I don't think his plan or his mission has changed. And I think that he's just going about fixing the things that didn't work this year and making sure it's better next year.
All right, so next year is the Big 12. Is there still excitement from the decision over the summer? Is there still momentum with what Colorado's decided to do by joining the Big 12?
Yeah, I think so. I think Buff fans are excited about it. And they know that they believe they've got a team that can go in and compete right away in the Big 12, especially with Shedeur at quarterback and Travis Hunter and some of the acquisitions they're getting right now. So I think there's a lot of excitement about what this team can be in 2024.
Brian, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Brian Howell, Boulder Daily Camera, with us on 365 Sports with Deion and his staff loading up on some recruits.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job early on. As we said at the start of the show, Miller's a nice pickup and a nice new weapon, and obviously the offensive line is very, very important moving forward. They're a team that's obviously got some skill guys that are capable of hurting you in a major way, but as we saw in and week out as the season stretched along, they just did not stack up outside of that all that well, especially on the line. So that's a big point of emphasis. They're attacking it, and I'm excited now to start covering them on a little bit of a different level because they will be making their way into the Big 12. And not that we don't talk, outside of the Big 12 at all, but it's just there's going to be a bit more focus. Like they're going to be hosting Baylor next year. They're going to be traveling to Waco at some point in time. They're going to be around a lot more in our faces than they were being as part of that West Coast contingent and more like it used to be back in the day for so long. So I'm excited to see the Buffs back in the mix and just having Deion Sanders as their head coach and Shedeur and all that comes with that. I think it adds a whole lot of spice to what would otherwise just be a cool move, but with all of that other stuff taken into consideration, definitely makes it a lot more newsworthy and a lot juicier than it otherwise would be. So, yeah, this is going to be a fun offseason to track them a little bit closer, knowing that we're going to be seeing them a little bit more up close and personal here pretty soon.
It will be interesting. By the way,